Welcome to another episode of Muay Thai Save Me. If you're just tuning in for the first time, my name is Crew Neil. Muay Thai Save Me is basically a show that brings guests onto the show and they kind of showcase how Muay Thai has impacted their life. And today I have another special guest, Paul. Paul, help me out with your last name though.
Escarcega.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
Escarcega, yeah.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
You and me, we win the last name championship. You got Chachayen.
That's pretty close.
How do you say it?
You pronounce it with like if it was a UN at the end. So you would say Chachayan.
Chachayen.
Yeah.
Chachayen. Got it. Yeah, and then Escarcega myself. So yeah,
I love that.
I'm not used to anybody pronouncing my name right. So.
I love that. But Paul, you were there last night. Last night we had an awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had an awesome member appreciation dinner.
We've had a big year. We've had a big year. 2023. I've been part of this gym for a year now, and I've seen this gym grow. I've seen us do a lot of different things, and one of the things right away when we got started, we wanted to start this podcast. But then also really, start showcasing some of our fighters, and we had probably 5 total fights this year,
yes,
about, and it culminated in a couple weeks ago. David Trujillo finally won a championship, and so last night, again, we just got to celebrate all the achievements of the year, and it was great seeing the whole MTK community show up last night. We had a good turnout. And it was again just great to be a part of, and just seeing everybody come together. Again, it really is kind of like a family, and it was awesome. I had an amazing time last night.
Yeah, it was really like heartfelt for me too, just knowing that like how MTK started in '94, and we've always had that close knit family style gym.
Yeah,
and then just now seeing it on a bigger scale, still instilling the same, pillars that built MTK.
Yeah.
We haven't lost anything. We've only enhanced everything.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Yeah, and it was heartfelt because it's like sometimes I forget, how many people I'm able to like impact in such a great way, and it's just a reminder of that when we have those events and people are like paying homage to MTK and thanking me, and I'm just like, wow, like,
yeah.
And that this is my energizer source. This is why I work so hard, because I love helping people. I genuinely love helping people. Yeah. I really do.
And what's cool to see too is again, like you're saying, people actually showing just pure heartfelt emotion. I mean, again, like, coming from my perspective, I'm behind the camera, and you're always, you never know what you're filming theoretically, you're always just kind of keeping your eye out, but when you just watch people really dig deep in their hearts and have that joy, or even if it's pain or whatever it is, when you see people pretty much put their emotions out there for you, it's always awesome to be a part of something like that, because that's the real juice of us as humans, right? Like that's what makes us crave. That's why we watch movies. That's why we listen to things. That's why we read, is to be a part of something like that. People crave for these type of connections. And so when you see these happening in real life, how many award shows do you see? And I mean, Oscars are a good example, right? All right, thanks, man. Appreciate this. But then you see somebody that's like, just is out there crying and bawling. And like, man, I've worked my entire life for this. Yeah. I never thought I'd be here. I'm so excited. And last night was a big night for Ray Fennell.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce that right?
Fennell.
Because she had kind of that experience. David had his experience as well. He kind of already had it, but he still is in that, I think, euphoric stage of where he's super appreciative of it still. But again, just witnessing people put in that work and then having it pay off is always special to be around. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
And the kids too. They're like, I think that's the other cool part. I think on my end was just seeing the age range of people. Sometimes as an outsider, if you say, "Oh, we're a Muay Thai gym," you're thinking it's probably a bunch of 20-year-old, hyper athletes, ripped, and like that's the community, right? Or it's like a CrossFit maybe. You think it's like a CrossFit type of community where it's just these hyper people, but when you go there last night, I saw a lot of the Little Trunks member program. You see their parents who aren't necessarily part of the gym, but they're just, they're just supporters.
Yeah.
And they're having a good time. And then you just see the actual gym members that put in a lot of time. They enjoy the community, so that's why they keep coming. They go to the multiple classes and all that. And so just seeing the different genres of people was very cool to see. Again, that's, I think, the true impact.
And I love too seeing them, like how they're talking like about everyday stuff. Like they're getting to connect on a personal level as opposed to at the gym. Like I said last night, everything's just with intention. They come to the gym with intention to work out and learn and get stronger.
Yeah, we don't come here to hang out.
Yeah. So it was cool to see them, like you said, like just interacting with one another.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
Yeah, you can just tell people actually generally get along with each other.
Yeah.
And that's not, like I said, I mean, I've been part of the 24-hour fitnesses and, I even went to a Planet Fitness, not on my own accord, but through work. And, those are different environments. But, when you come to a place like this, again, your number one goal, of course, is, I want to get a great workout in. But then when you can do the other stuff and again, build friendships and family members, like that's special. And that's what I think you dream of as an owner. And of course, head trainer, I can't imagine, that's the pinnacle right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always been my dream, is just to see us on a bigger scale, you know, and it's cool to see it in fruition. Like going back to David's title fight, I always tell people we are like one of the loudest gyms in the convention center, if not the loudest.
Yeah.
And just that night we were flooded. Everywhere you looked was MTK. Like you couldn't.
Yeah, we were interrupting
anywhere.
other fights. I actually felt kind of bad just as a respect. Like it's like, oh man, this is our moment. But at the same time, like I felt bad because we were literally chanting during someone else's fight. But I was like, obviously for me, it's great content. But I felt bad because we literally were. I do think, I don't like to oversell anything, but we definitely, I think we were the largest, and we had the most people and the loudest. Like I don't like to oversell anything, but I think on a legitimate, if I had actual decibel levels and numbers of people wearing outfits, I honestly think we were number one, because I do pay attention to stuff like that. And we were a large presence. We were big the time before, and we might have been even number one then, if not number two. But this one, I thought we were pretty clear cut number one. And people came out to support. And like I remember at one point where I was filming, and we were surrounding the thing. So usually, when you go to an event like this, it's like, this is the MTK section, or this is that gym section, right? But we were, I think, literally in 3 different sections covering. And so I was like trying to get all the different awesome crowd reactions. And it was like 3 sections I could choose from. And that's like just unheard of. Like that's just not normal. And, I think it's contagious too, that again, people like being part of winners and passion and stuff like that. It's easy to jump on that bandwagon. And so I even felt like that night, I felt like people were cheering that weren't our crowd. I can't 100% say that with certainty, but again, like when I'm behind that camera, like who's kind of who, and it's like I just felt it was bigger. I felt we were winning the crowd, and that's amazing. I mean, it was like Daniel LaRusso won the crowd.
Absolutely. I love that analogy. Yes, I love that, Paul. But I don't know. There was I know you said there was a fight. The Ryan Garcia fight. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I didn't see it live, but I got to check it out today. And one of the things like that I've always wanted to do with this podcast is talk about other fights, because you are a longtime fighter, an expert fighter, and people love fights. I mean, I think it's the longest sport in the history of mankind, right? And so, whether it's boxing, whether it's Muay Thai, whether it's MMA, I always want to talk about fights here, because I'm always curious, especially since I've been associated with you, is like, I want to hear your opinion and what are you seeing when you watch these fights, because you have a different lens than the rest of us. I I boxed not competitively when I was younger, but trained boxing slightly. Always been football, and then boxing was always my number one in terms of the combat sports. But then obviously boxing started to die, and so I started to watch more MMA. But now I'm definitely more into Muay Thai, and so the one championship in those fights. But so we watched together as a gym. We watched the Ryan Garcia and help me with that name, Tank Davis. Mm-hmm. Tank Davis.
Yes.
Incredible fight.
Yes.
I thought Ryan Garcia, I didn't really know Ryan Garcia a ton, but I knew he was like kind of the shit. And then Tank Davis came in and just knocked him out,
Yeah.
And that was unheard of. And I've been watching Ryan Garcia more, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but I'm not a big fan of his stance. He's a taller guy, and I just feel like I know in Muay Thai it's different because you need to be balanced, right? And it's not as leg centric, right? Your weight needs to be more distributed evenly, because you need to be able to move your feet just as fast as your arms, right?
Yes.
I understand that. But in boxing, you're not kicking.
Yeah.
All your power is generally from your legs. Mm-hmm. But Ryan Garcia, I always just feel he's very top heavy. And when he's throwing his punches, it looks like he's just throwing his arms out there. And he did end up winning this fight, and we'll get into that part. But I want to talk about just Ryan Garcia's fighting stance in general. Okay. And again, if I'm wrong, correct me.
Yeah. But
just from, because from a football standpoint, leverage and all that stuff, I just feel like he's leaving so much on the table. And I don't ever when I watch Tyson, one of the things I love about watching Tyson is how much power he generates from his hips and his legs. Yeah. And I remember that even fighting here, I would try and mimic some of that sometimes, because it's if I can get my legs into it, even if it's just one punch, but I get that full leg and the hip twist, that's a lot of power generated. And I just feel like Ryan Garcia
first off, his stance, there's nothing wrong with his stance, but he is top heavy.
Yeah.
If you look, he's very built upper body wise, but his legs are very skinny.
Yeah.
And that could also, and that just goes back to day one. How was he trained?
Yeah.
How was his stance? But ultimately, you train like that for X amount of years, it's gonna eventually work for him.
Yeah.
And, it's really hard to necessarily say who has a better stance for, you know what I mean? It's just his stance is good. It works for him.
Sure.
But if you look at other fighters might slightly stand a little different than Ryan Garcia because it works for them. So
different body types.
I'm really big on when it comes to combat sports, Paul, to each his own.
Sure.
There's a foundation to it, and as long as you're doing the foundation, the sky's the limit on what you can do. You have to make fighting work for you. And that's something I think Bruce Lee would always say too, is just you can't fight like anyone else. You got to fight like yourself.
I 100% agree with that.
But absolutely, it's proven by science, if you use your legs more, it will generate more power in your punches.
Yeah.
Power comes from your feet, is what I always tell people. It starts from your feet and works all the way up through your body, all the way out to your fist.
Yeah.
It works all in unison. So you're right.
And again, like I said, I'm not ever going to proclaim to be the boxing professional, all that. But again, even just from my limited experience, I just feel, even when I'm watching him, it just feels awkward, and I feel like he's leaving so much on the table.
So a great example is Tank Davis's jab versus Ryan Garcia. How is Davis's legs look when he actually does a conventional jab as opposed to Ryan? And absolutely, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Tank he's sitting on his punch when he jabs.
Yeah.
That's why he has an amazing jab.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia has an amazing jab too, but he doesn't sit on it the same way Tank Davis does. Yeah,
and so Ryan Garcia did end up winning this fight. I wasn't impressed with the other fighter, to be honest. Again, don't want to act like I'm the foremost expert on this stuff. I've definitely seen my share of boxing. Wasn't super impressed with this fight. I only watched the highlights. I wasn't able to watch the full fight. But neither of these fighters, to be honest, impressed me a ton today. Again, when I watched Tank Davis, I'd never seen Tank Davis before. He super impressed me though. he just super impressed me with his aggression. And again, like you're saying, like the way he was able to, when it mattered, he was able to really square up and get everything behind his punches. And that, again, it just showed like Ryan Garcia was hurting. He hit that full on, hit right in the ribs, and it just knocked him. But you can see why, because he generated so much power.
That's right.
But he looked like a good fighter. Duarte didn't look great.
Well, you got to think too, Paul, it comes from politics in fighting in general. When you have a superstar that just gets knocked out, right? He's been undefeated for so long, and then he gets knocked out for the first time by a good fighter.
Yeah.
Now coming back, they're not necessarily going to put him with a big caliber fighter like Tank Davis again. They're not going to do that. He's got to.
No, that's a good point.
He's got to work his way back up the rankings. That's what a lot of people don't understand.
No, you're right.
But you're 100%. I wasn't impressed with Oscar Duarte's performance either. It was almost like he was very cautious of Ryan Garcia's speed, but also his power. And and I like, because even one of the commentators talked about it in the fight, as he's pressing Ryan Garcia. Garcia's moving around, using a lot more footwork, because he knows this guy's coming in to hit my body.
Yeah.
But what Oscar Duarte would do is he would shell up and try to use his footwork to come in.
Yeah.
And the commentator said it, and I agree with him. He was losing a lot of opportunities to make contact as he was coming in. Instead of just shelling up and coming in, it allowed Ryan Garcia to extend his lead hand out, and kind of use that to separate distance, because he's taller, right? And the few times Oscar would shell up, slip in a little bit, and then throw a hook or an overhand, it would land. It would be but he wouldn't do it consistent enough. Yeah. He wouldn't hit the body as he's coming in.
He wasn't stringing them together.
He was wait till he would be in close striking range, and then he'd start throwing. By that time, he's, Ryan Garcia's doing that Philly shell. And one thing I didn't like too, and I'm going to make a comment about the ref. This is where the ref needs to be really on point in what he does, he or she does, because Ryan Garcia would do the Philly shell, and when Oscar Duarte would throw that
explain
right
to the audience
hook,
what the Philly shell is.
So the Philly shell is where you take your lead shoulder, you lift it up, protect that jawline, your lead arm is 90 degrees to protect your body, and your rear hand stays up. And basically that Philly shell is a great way to deflect a lot of punches.
Who came up with, where'd that name come from?
To be honest, I don't know the history behind it, but Mayweather is definitely the one who's made it the most famous.
Got it.
Mayweather's
that
the
makes
one.
sense.
Yeah,
that
and
makes sense.
So going back to that, with the fights. So Ryan Garcia, he's trying to defend against the body shot, so he starts using that Philly shell. And when Oscar Duarte would try to throw that right hook to the head, Ryan Garcia would turn his head away, and then he would get hit in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia would be like, hey, he's hitting the back of the head. And the ref, for me, I was like, dude, I would have told Ryan, stop turning your head away.
Right.
Because if he would have not turned his head away, he would have hit him on the side of the face.
Right.
He would have put his glove up, but would have hit his glove.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't like that. I didn't like that the ref was siding with that. And then Ryan would complain about when he would Philly shell, he would turn his back to the right hook. So what other object to hit is the back?
Yeah.
And the referee warns the guy, hey, stop hitting him in the back. And it's like, bro, tell the other fighter to stop turning his back towards the opponent. Yeah. What else do you expect him to do?
Yeah, that happens in football a lot too, because, blocking the back, obviously you can't do in football, but defensive linemen will do the same thing sometimes. You're engaged and it's a clean block, and then they'll do either a half spin or even a full spin, but then they'll put their hands up and try to act like they're getting blocked in the back. It's like, no, dude, you just spin.
Yeah.
And it's that same concept, but you're losing because you're trying to play for a call versus you're fighting
for the goal, for the actual goal at hand.
It takes you out of it, and then typically you're useless, because once you give up in that sense, you're just playing for a call, you can't recover from that. So if they don't make that call, then you're just useless.
Yep.
So so let's move to the end of the fight. So Garcia ends up knocking down Duarte.
Yeah.
And a good shot. He hit him a few times, and Duarte was definitely discombobulated. So now there's a little bit of controversy. Explain to the audience exactly kind of what happened in terms of the controversy, and was he right? Was he wrong? What did the ref make the right decision? Explain what happened there at the end.
So basically, when a fighter gets a standing 8 count, fighters are taught that if you're kind of hurt, stay down. And you're strategically doing that. You're strategically doing, not as long as you can. Not as long as you can. You strategically stay down to catch your breath and to kind of recuperate yourself. But by the 8 count, you must start to stand up.
Yeah.
Because what happened in this fight is Oscar Duarte was hurt and he wasn't recovered yet. So he waited till the ref was literally at like 9.5 count. And then he tried to stand up quickly, and the ref's like, "Yeah, no, you're not." Because when you jolt up like that, no balance.
You're still discombobulated.
Yeah. So him trying to argue that to me was just a sore loser. It was like, bro, like, come on, dude. Like,
and he wasn't good.
If you weren't hurt, you should have stood up at 8. Like, what are you doing? So it was just, people are always trying to, and
snaggle.
Right. Like, I think in his head, he's like, well, if I make a scene about it, it'll make it seem more like, he saves face.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to him just be like, you know what? Yeah, no, he got me. He got me.
Yeah.
And honestly, to applaud Ryan Garcia when he lost, he didn't make any excuses either. He just said, he got me with a good hook, man.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah, and it's still you watch it play, and I remember we talked about that too. Like, obviously he got him, right? There's no denying that. But it was weird in a way because we can't really see it because it was so internal. Yeah. Like, he hit him so well internally that it wasn't like that classic knockout or, you see him like hunched over there. It just hit him the right way and he couldn't recover from it.
Yeah.
And so it was, I guess, what's the word? A little anticlimactic viewing wise, right? Versus this one, like, you see him definitely discombobulated. He kind of falls back into the ring, and he's there, and you can hear the crowd start like, uh-oh, like he's in trouble. And then he goes down, and then, like you're saying, he just, it definitely felt like, and I agree with you, he tried to save face there because all of a sudden he's like, oh, look, I'm good. And it's like, dude, you weren't good, bro. Like,
he was trying to complain, like, come on, why are you stopping the fight? You were not good.
Yeah.
He did the right thing. So sore losers.
Yeah.
Sore losers.
Yeah.
They're out there. They're out there. It's funny because David's last opponent, right, that he beat for the belt.
By the way,
it just
classy guy. Classy guy.
Which one?
David's opponent. We met.
The opponent. Yes.
The opponent.
The opponent. Wait till you hear what I have to say.
Oh, okay. I don't know this then. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, after the fight, he made a comment. He was like, "Oh, at least I hope they gave us a 10-8 fourth round." And I was like, I kind of laughed, like, "Okay, yeah. I mean, you got us." I was like, "You definitely got us for sure." Just making a lighthearted joke out of a ridiculous comment he made because he saw clearly that his fighter lost.
Yeah.
And then after the fight.
So this is the coach, not the fighter.
This is the trainer.
Got it.
The fighter was amazing.
Okay.
He was a great dude.
Yeah, that's what I saw was that.
Yeah.
So keep going.
So the trainer tells me outside, I do my last little fist bump with him, and he's like, man, he starts complaining about the promoter, Troy. And he's like, I just wish Troy would give us longer than 2-week camps to train for this. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not even gonna interact with this guy because first of all, you accepted the fight. Why would you accept the fight if you're not happy with a 2-week fight camp?
100%.
So obviously, right there, it shows me he doesn't accept the loss.
Yeah.
He's making excuses of why his fighter lost.
1 million.
When my fighters lose, I own it, and I'm like, all right, what do I need to work them?
And your fighters own it, by the way. Your fighters own it.
Yeah, and my fighters, they learn, like, when they lose, they know crew's gonna fix me. We're gonna work on this stuff, and even when they win, there's stuff I still see that they need to fix and they're
100%.
gonna work on. And I feel like that's the difference between good coaching and bad coaching, right?
Yeah.
The good coaches will teach you exactly what you need to learn to better and enhance your skills.
Yeah.
Where the bad coaches will just make excuses for you of why you lost. You lost because of this. It's like, well, let's see here, and I quote this because I spoke to the promoter about this.
Yeah.
But just remember, David's last opponent has fought in 3 title fights prior to fighting David.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he fought in 3 title fights, lost all 3. Okay, lost all 3. That gym has been searching titles. They're just trying to win a title.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like what you said about going for the play as
Right.
opposed to what the actual goal is.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is for him to become a champion,
Right.
but you're just chasing belts. So anyone that gives you an opportunity, you're going to just take it.
Right, and that might not be the best opportunity for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because you keep losing. Why? It's not because the opportunity isn't there. It's the
Right.
fact that something's going on in the fight that
Yeah.
you need to fix.
Yeah.
Because people keep taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yep,
that's
totally.
And if you want to be honest, if I want to be honest, his opponent that David fought, he was so tough and so strong. That dude can be such a great fighter.
Yeah.
But he focuses more on looking cool.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. Because I saw when David threw like a kick and he made David miss, he made this little antic like just he's all about like showboaty and being a showman, but it's like, where's the action behind that?
Yeah.
David missed the kick. He came back and he started firing back right away.
Yeah.
David was there to fight.
Yeah.
He wasn't there to look good. He was there to fight and win a belt. Whereas
Yeah.
opposed to this guy, that's what I've seen. I've seen that guy fight. That was the second time.
Okay.
And this guy, that's what I see. He's just about looking good, looking stylistic, looking technical, but
Yeah.
he's not there to fight.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it was funny because this trainer is just complaining, and Troy's like, calm down, bro. He's like, first of all, you're complaining about a 2-week camp. He's like, your last 3 fights have been 5-round title fights. David, that was his first one.
Yeah.
What are you complaining about? Your dude was in shape.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people don't understand, Paul, is like when you come off a fight camp, regardless if you win or lose and your subtle injuries heal, you're in amazing shape.
Yeah,
you know, especially if you went a 5-round fight, you're in a way better stamina range than a person that fights only 3 rounds.
100%.
You know, and that's what Troy was just like, dude. And I told Troy this. I said, this just shows his mindset.
Yeah.
And that sucks for his fighter because his fighter can only go so much because he has a coach
limited.
that doesn't. He comes up with excuses as opposed to solutions.
Yep. No, 100%. Yeah, and it that's where you want to talk about the team, right? Coaching is just one part of it, right? Then there's the player, and then there's strategy, and you're limited on all that. Again, if he's never like one fight, you win or lose, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not the end of the game. That's not the end. Like you're still thinking of like even this fight, right? If David won, whether David won or lost, there's still another fight and another opportunity. Right. And like you're talking about after the fight, you guys were still talking about, well, what we still want to work on is this because this fight wasn't. Yes, while it's a great accomplishment, it's still not the pinnacle. And there's still more to the game.
That's right.
And you're still building towards that.
That's right.
It's still continuation.
Yes.
But again, short-term coaching, short-term thinkers, they're only focused on that continuum moment. And like it's such a limiting thing. And it does separate the good coaches and the bad coaches, the good teams versus the bad teams.
Absolutely.
Because it permeates.
Yeah.
And
because think about it, since we're talking about sports too, think about how many times, I remember when the Chicago Bulls had the best record in the league with Michael Jordan still actively playing, and they would lose against a certain team that wasn't even a high-ranking team. They would lose it, you know, but that didn't matter to the Bulls. No. You know, the Bulls could go on a three losing.
I think they lost the Raptors
streak
that year, and the Raptors were like an expansion team that year.
Yeah,
and I remember it being a big deal because they're like, well, "This is the 72-win Bull team," and they're like, "We're fine. We didn't show up tonight.
That's right.
We're gonna make some corrections. We'll be fine."
That's right.
And they did.
But the long-term goal was the championship, which they ended up winning that year, anyways.
Yep.
You know, so it's people like you said. It's one fight leads to another, and everything's a building process. Everything's a building process,
and they're connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump into, because last night we kind of teased it before, but you made a big announcement last night. So we're coming off of our big championship fight. What was the big announcement that you announced last night? And tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Well, one of the announcements was in February, we're going to have 2 fighters fighting, David and Ray. Now, Ray...
We've had her on the podcast.
Yes, Ray was on our podcast, and I told her on that episode she was next. I forget what time frame in the year that was, but you fast forward from that episode.
August, maybe?
You fast forward from that episode, she has been putting in a crazy, insane amount of work.
Yeah.
She was a part of David's title fight camp.
Yeah.
I wanted her to experience it because I knew she's getting there, and I want to put her through that experience so she's like, okay, this is what I'm gonna have to go through in order to like fight like high caliber type of fights.
Yeah.
And she was so open to it. She really transformed. We really worked on a lot of great things.
She's lost a ton of weight too since then.
Absolutely.
I remember seeing her probably like a month after the podcast, and I remember her saying that, and she was in good shape then.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, there's a difference between just being in regular good shape versus fighting good shape.
Yeah.
And I remember she trimmed down. I didn't know how much weight she lost, but at least 10 pounds it looked like. But she had slimmed down a ton, and you can just see it. Yeah. Like she put in the work.
Absolutely, she has, and you have no idea. There were days where she was just getting beat up, literally. Like, nobody's hitting her soft. Like, no, she was getting beat up.
I've seen her in sparring, and Mike would go up with her, and Mike doesn't hold back. You know, Mike, and that's what I love about Mike. Mike is there to help them, and Mike would. I just remember Mike going. I have it on camera, and Mike was just really pushing her, but she wouldn't stop. She just kept going, and
that's right.
And she would listen to Mike. Hey, you're opening up. You're doing this, and it was awesome to see teammates pushing each other, coaching each other, and again the respect level out of both of them. And again, that's obviously a credit to you. That's the system you've built and the environment that you built to where they're both your coaches, but they can compete and still. Their mindset's still in the right way. It's not like, stop going at me hard. Because I've seen that too. I've been on plenty of teams.
Too many people.
Where it's just like, you're practice All-American or whatever you want to call it. Versus, again, like they both wanted it. And it was respectful, but still they were going hard. I mean, you can't ask for a better combination of those two.
Yeah. Ray, there were days where she would just be standing there crying because she felt mentally beat up. Yeah. Physically beat up. I suck. Oh my God, when is this ever going to get easier? You know what I mean? There were times where she would just break down and just cry, and I would just let her be and let her kind of compose herself. And that's why I said, like, people don't have any clue, like, and that's why I made an announcement too that yesterday, like, I choose certain people to fight when I do. There's a reason behind it, and it's because of this. The mindset is like super important. Yeah, for sure. And she was the next one in line because her mindset was right. Yeah. It was right on. She's coachable. She works extremely hard, and she has a mission. She has that vision. She's like, I want to fight, but not only do I want to fight, I want to become a champ too as well. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. Again, like being able to be a part of and witnessing her journey, it would be an awesome thing, not just for her, but for the entire gym to see the whole process go through. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then people are definitely rooting for her because they know she's been at it for a while. Yeah. So.
I mean, the crowd erupted when you announced that. I mean, again, you can just see everybody's pushing for her. And again, that's just again, another great thing about the community where so many people are cheering for other people. I mean, again, this is not normal in today's world. Yeah. But it's awesome to see. Yeah. And you said David's fighting again. Yeah. Yeah, he's fighting on. So they're fighting on the same card. It'll be 3 rounders for both of them. This will be a tune-up fight, just to keep them sharp. And then so is this not considered a title defense? It's not a title defense. Okay, got it. This is just a tune-up fight. Keep him active. Yeah. And then you'll see him doing a title defense on his next fight. And then explain to me, because I don't know this stuff, but. So David's title that he won, that was part of the Cali Muay Thai organization. Yeah. There's multiple organizations. So tons of organizations. Tons. So I only know 2. So there's more than that in Southern California? Yeah. How many is there like total? I can't keep up, to be honest. There's a lot of organizations. What would you say is like the biggest organization? It would be Dennis Warner and Troy. WCK. Yeah. WCK and Cali Muay Thai, those 2. Okay, I mean, that's what it feels like. I just didn't know if that was the actual case. And then do those organizations ever, like, fight each other? Is that, or would they just it's people fight on everyone's card. Fighters want an opportunity. That's it. They're going to fight with anyone. Yeah, because we fought on both. Yeah. We fought on both cards. Again, I was just curious on, because I know like
And honestly, with Dennis Warner, his locations have been ridiculously far.
San Diego.
I'm like,
yeah, a lot of them in San Diego.
It's too far, and these crazy casinos that are like super. I'm like, man, I'm not trying to drive out there.
Yeah.
So that's why I love Troy. He always keeps it local.
Yeah, Commerce Casino.
Yeah, and Troy takes good care of us too. You know, he's a great organization to fight for. He
Except
takes
for
care of his fighters.
last time you took away my press pass, Troy. You better make sure you correct that. Take away my press pass like that. It made my job hard.
But Paul, thank you again for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, appreciate it. But guys, if you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, if it's your first time tuning in, this is called Muay Thai Save Me. And the reason why we call it that is we like to bring on guests and we kind of showcase how Muay Thai has impacted their life in a great way. All right, but if you like this content, like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned for next week's episode.